Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good.
I feel like it's been a while that we've seen each other.
It's been quite a while, yeah.
I think, what would have been the last time? Like, caffeine machine air-cooled night or something like that?
Yes, definitely. Or a Sunday morning coffee run.
Or a Sunday morning coffee run. We need to do a coffee run. We haven't done one in ages. And actually, one of the, because I think one of the coffee runs we went to Broadway.
Yes.
And there's a really cool brand there called the Man Cave. I don't know if you've come across it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so
down
they're
the road.
trading at Megaphonics this year. So I really want to do at some point or another a coffee run to there and end up there, because obviously it kind of makes sense. We have breakfast,
coffee,
and go and check out
yeah.
useless stuff that we really want to buy that we shouldn't buy, but is really cool and really nice. Anyway, but yeah, I guess yeah, if I find time to do that, it's going to be interesting. Anyway,
Yes.
so you brought in your gorgeous 993 that I've known for a little while now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years?
It's been 5 years.
5 years?
Because we met through Chris, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Through a mutual friend, didn't we?
So tell me about the genesis of Porsche. It's always interesting to find out how people came to the brand. So how did you come to the brand?
I think probably the most common way of doing it is I was a VW boy.
Yeah.
So Mark II Golfs, Mark Vs, things like that. Always liked them, but kind of just thought, you know, they're a bit of a long way out. They all look the same, and you know, they didn't change the body much, and it fascinated me, but I didn't kind of, you know, want one too much.
Yeah.
Until I drove one.
Mm-hmm. So when did you drive one is the next question then.
So I drove a couple of friends, ones, so 996.
Yes. Great car.
Yeah, and then I was in Japan with work, and I got to drive quite a few there.
Okay.
So 964, 930, and then a 993.
Wow. So that's quite a cool place to drive a 911, well, an air-cooled 911 for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting place for driving air-cooled cars, yeah.
Oh yeah? In what sense?
They're all left tuckers.
Yes.
Even though they drive on the right,
Yeah.
sorry, left like us, but right-hand drive should be,
Yeah.
because there's a prestige of having original left-hand drive
I have
cars
heard
for,
that,
you know, a European car. The cars fall into two camps of either super extreme, modifications, doesn't matter, just absolutely do it,
Yeah.
and then kind of concourse.
Concourse original.
And they drive the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I literally drive the hell out of them. The second time I drove one was at Motegi on a 12-hour endurance.
Say that again.
So the second time I drove one
Yeah.
was at Motegi at a 12-hour endurance.
Jesus Christ. So how did that come about?
RWB.
Okay.
So the RWB guys, which are very different over there to the rest of Europe.
Are they?
Yeah. So
In what sense?
they drive their cars to an inch of their life. They're just,
Okay.
they maintain them well, but
Yeah.
they're all workhorses. They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
batter them.
Okay.
Absolutely batter them. And I was staying out there. I decided I'd go try and see these things that you always saw on the internet.
Yeah.
And they kind of welcomed me into the little family and threw me the keys.
So did you have, when you went out there to Japan, you went out there for work, you thought, while I'm out there, I'm going to get engrossed in some car culture.
Yeah.
So did you have a connection with anyone out there?
No. Quite the opposite. I was like, right, I can Google the workshop, I know where it is. I'm just going to go down. And I went down at like 7 o'clock p.m. on a Saturday night.
Right.
And luckily they were there. And one of the guys there, Royce, he's got a pistache green 930.
Okay.
Absolutely stunning car.
Yeah.
He kind of spoke incredible English, spoke incredible Japanese.
Oh, that was lucky.
And
So
welcomed me in.
no appointment, nothing of the sort,
nothing
just
at all.
showed up at the
Just
RWB garage.
rocked up, and about 40-minute train journey from the centre of Tokyo.
Yeah.
If I had,
It's amazing to hear that they're so welcoming, so open.
Oh, yeah.
So fast track, how did you end up in a 12-hour endurance race?
So we went out driving, went to go get some food, get some
Yeah.
noodles. Then I went back every weekend. I was helping.
So how long were you out there for?
So I was out there for a 3-month stint. I did a
Okay.
few 3-month stints
Right, wow.
when I was working for a Japanese company.
Okay.
And then, decided, you know what, let's take this a bit to the next level.
Yeah.
And I just asked Nakai-san, I was like, can I jump in one of the Idols races? He was like, yeah, sure. No problem.
Amazing.
Just let me do it. And then decided, you know what's really going to top this off is if Carlsberg did stag do's,
Yeah.
let's go do my stag do and a 12-hour endurance event. So me and 3 of my best mates went out there and did the 12-hour endurance race in various cars.
Wow.
All RWBs. So
That is amazing.
I was in a 993, a couple of friends in 964s, another mate in a 993.
And so who owned the cars?
Nakai. Yeah.
Right, and he was just willing,
Getting the cars, yeah.
you're this new guy that's come into Japan, haven't known him for a very long time, and he just
Trusted
threw
me,
you
yeah.
the keys and said,
So that was probably about 4 years into knowing him.
wow.
And he's just like,
Okay.
yeah, he's just like, yeah, sure,
Yeah, amazing.
come on over. Threw me the keys. Yeah.
So did that give you a taste for 993s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I drove
you
94s
drove-
and 993s,
Yeah.
and it was the rear suspension that did it for me.
Yeah.
I was like, right, okay, that's what I
So the
want.
multi-link rear
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So then you come back from Japan.
Come
You've
back from
clearly
Japan.
fallen in love with Porsche, well and truly.
Absolutely head over heels,
Yeah.
like scary.
And was this your first Porsche, this one here?
This is my first Porsche.
And how did this car come about?
So I was looking for one for ages, looking at 964s and 993s.
Okay.
Couldn't quite afford what I wanted. I wanted something that I could beat, basically. Something that was a bit of a dog, bit of an underdog even, just didn't have to care about too much.
But it needed to be a coupe and a manual, I'm
It
guessing.
needs to be a coupe, it needs to be manual.
Okay.
And ideally it needs to be a 993.
Yeah.
It's just the way it drives in comparison is, I mean, it's not night and day, but it is once you start.
I think
going
you're
down that route.
categorically
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
To interject, it's like a lot of people will say the last analog 911 is X, and a lot of people will say that it's the 993, the 996 generation is the first modern Porsche, and they'll define the end of analog by the water cooling of the engine.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I think the last of the analog 911s is actually the 964, because the multi-link rear end on a 993
Changes
is
it
so
completely.
different.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's the characteristic of it being air-cooled or water-cooled, but fundamentally, that doesn't mean anything.
No.
What means more than anything else is how the car actually handles the position of the engine at the back. And that multi-link rear end, I think, absolutely defines it, and it's a watershed moment in 911's development.
It's odd as well because I think the engine starts creeping forwards and forwards and forwards over the years.
Yeah.
And where the position of the gearbox is and where the engine's mounted, it might as well be mid-engined. You know.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, sorry. So you were looking for a 964 or a 993?
Yes. Basically just the prices.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years earlier, before the prices started shooting up, I was looking at getting a daily driver instead of my Mark II Golf. And I could have got a 964 for the same price as a Mark V Golf. Mm-hmm. And I didn't buy one. And from that day, I regretted it ever since, because it was like 11 grand for a 964. I was like,
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I paid for my first one, but yeah. Anyway, carry on.
and then one of my mates, Matt, with the 993.
Yes, it's got Interscope
Scope
livery.
Not anymore, but yes, that one.
Yeah, that one.
The X Cup car.
Yeah.
He spotted this,
Okay.
and it was 7 shades of silver,
Okay.
polar silver. It was owned
Actually, I remember it when it was Polo
Yeah.
Silver. Yes, of course.
when you first saw it.
And narrow body.
Narrow body.
Yeah, so actually, I've seen a fair amount of
You've seen it.
the evolution.
All
of
the
this.
iterations of this, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
He sent me a link. It was a category car.
Okay,
It
perfect.
it had been repaired in the past,
Yeah.
but it was matching numbers. Not that it mattered. Very well maintained, and it was straight. I mean, it was cheaper than the rest.
So
out there.
there are some people out there that will obviously get scared by the idea of a cat car.
Yeah,
Tell us why we shouldn't be afraid of a cat car.
it depends if it's been kind of repaired properly. But I threw this on a Geo rig before I bought it. Had a look underneath it before I bought it in the workshop. It was, you couldn't tell where it had been repaired.
Yeah.
Underneath it was basically spotless. And actually, probably because of the repair, it'd been a car that had been used. You know, it'd been maintained, which is the main thing.
And the truth is that because it's a car that's a cat, or then you don't exactly need to be precious about it.
I could do whatever the hell I want to it.
Which is what you've done, and the
Yeah.
results speak for themselves. So brilliant.
And that was the
And-
main thing for me.
And what was the other question I wanted to ask you about cat? Yeah, when was it issued, that cat?
So it was like early 2000s.
Okay, so when the values were nothing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely nothing.
would it technically have not been catted if it weren't for the fact that
Yes.
it was so cheap
No,
at
it
the
wouldn't have
time?
been catted. From
Yeah.
what I understand, it was a lamppost front right.
Okay, right.
So I think it was a slot moment by the previous owner, serious lack of talent.
Yeah.
Or just running out of grip, wet, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's what that corner. And
So what year is the car?
it's a 95 pre-Vario.
Pre-Vario, and it's a C2.
It's a C2, yes.
A C2.
That was quite important for me when I was looking.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the 964s and the 993s, you can convert them to C2, but I just wanted that rear-wheel drive experience for me.
Sure.
Okay. So
Yeah, you can. I mean, the 964 is a little bit more tricky to convert.
Yes, which is seems backwards. So you'd think the earlier car would be easier.
Yeah, it's weird. I think from my understanding, they got wrapped up in the tech that they put in the 959, and that ended up in the 964, which is awesome. But it is a much more sophisticated system and a heavier system as well. Because I think with the 993, you literally unhook it, job done. Whereas with the 964, you've got to find a way to put the power back into the gearbox.
Yes.
So there was a company out there, I can't remember the name, that developed a collar that goes onto the end.
Yes, in America, and you can.
Is it in America?
Yeah,
so the person I was thinking of was actually in the UK. So clearly there are two people at it. But I think, funnily enough, so I have a friend called Jack who runs a YouTube channel called Number 27.
Yes.
I've known him for forever. And he did a conversion from C4 to C2. And he did it meticulously in the sense that to find out actually what the difference was in terms of weight, how much weight he was actually saving. And I think he calculated it was something like 50 to 75 kilos at the very most. It wasn't much.
It's not as much as you think.
Not as much as a lot of people tend to quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we've gone on a massive tangent. Sorry about that. Okay. So what was the thought process with the car? You had the car. What were the next steps?
So when the category car came up, I was like, actually, I can cut it up. I can do what I want, and it doesn't matter really. I knew I wanted to kind of go bolt-on look, wide body, although this is a RSR kit. Not a GT2 kit. Yeah. And actually, I would set up the eBay alerts and all that kind of stuff, and it came up. One of these came up, and strangely enough, went down to go see the guy about it. They'd come off a race car. Mm-hmm. There's not loads of history behind it, but potentially one of the originals, one of the original RSRs.
Right. Okay. Cool.
They'd come from Japan.
Right.
And the rear arches were in good condition.
Yeah.
The sills were in all right condition. The front arches were battered to an inch of their life. They'd all had all the inner lips cut out just to get the car low enough.
Right.
So, bought them. Then I needed to find a kind of body shop to do the paint. I think I asked you actually.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I did ask you. I think I might have asked you.
Yeah, it's a Riviera also.
Yeah, Riviera, so Tyrone.
Tyrone's done a lot of interesting things with 911s. I don't think a car comes out of there with a straight restoration. Everything is modified.
Everything's modified.
It's kind of, he's built a reputation on modifying.
But really nicely done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I'm guessing he stripped the car back to change the colour.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good opportunity. I didn't know the history of the repair.
Yeah.
So basically went there. I was like, bare metal.
Yeah.
I'm happy to swing a spanner. I'm more than happy to swing a spanner, as you know.
Yeah.
But paint, I'm not getting involved in. That's an absolute skill that I don't want to know. Yeah. Trusted him. Went back to bare metal, and he did the whole thing. It did have new wings as well.
The old wings were knackered?
They were just starting to get a bit. They hadn't been fitted properly.
Right.
Had a little bit of rust around the windscreen. And that was the whole reason of I might as well get it painted. Little bit of rust around the windscreen. Next minute, full body, bare metal restoration.
So it's quite a funny idea that you need to replace the wings with new good ones, only to chop them up.
So
to put the arches on. Okay. Yeah. And so talk to me about the arches, because one of the things I always think about whenever I see some of these bolt-on kits, especially the way that RWB do it in when he's doing one of his quick jobs, is that you think about the steel being exposed and also the gaps between. Now, because you had it done by a body shop, I'm guessing they did the cut.
They did the cut, painted
everything.
it. Yeah. And
then, so have you put wheel arch liners?
I've actually, I made some wheel arch liners. This one keeps popping out, but used the original one, cut it in half, and then bolted some bits through the middle.
So funnily enough, that's exactly what we did on the 993. So my 993 was also done by Tight Rain. And we did exactly the same thing. So we took wheel arch liners, cut them in half, we took a pair of wheel arch liners. So that sounds wrong, doesn't it? So 2 right-hand side ones is what I'm trying to get at.
Cut them in
half, and then put them back together, riveted, to do the same thing.
Yeah, same thing, riveted. Yeah.
And nice. Because the thing, what you don't want, obviously, is having that wheel arch liner means that your dog can end up with crud in between the 2 layers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
And then I put the small bead down there as well, again for that, just to stop basically rubbish getting in it.
Yeah, and so funnily enough, like some cars have it and some cars don't from Porsche.
Yeah.
And I remember having this conversation with
some have a rubber lip, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
And we did the same thing with mine as well.
Yes.
So you've got the RSR arches,
yes.
Which out of interest, Tom, if you look at this car, this is running GT2 Evo arches. So these are actually even wider than the GT2 standard ones. But it gives you an idea of, the difference in between the widths to a degree between an Evo car, GT2 Evo winged car, and an RSR winged car like Alex is over here. Okay, so front bumper.
Front bumper is a kind of standard C2 bumper with the RS lip.
Yeah.
It has a GT wing on the back,
which is amazing that it can stretch that far.
Yes.
The standard front bumper. Yeah. It's the same thing. We've done the exact same thing on my car, and again, like what's called the arches are pretty wide on that, and you just
got even further,
all the way out. But that's how they were from the normal cars, from the genuine, from the real McCoys. Yeah. And you've got a nice lip here. This is definitely that's really good actually. So
it's
that's
just it sounds stupid. It's a cheap eBay job.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's just grub screwed through, and then I've put some aluminium, very very thin aluminium plates to keep it just in place, just in case.
So that's not a Porsche part.
No, it sounds ridiculous.
Brilliant.
I'm pretty sure I could feel the difference when I was on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. Really?
Yeah. It felt like it balanced it out. Huh. I suppose you're just actually reducing that gap between the floor by about half.
Nice.
So, and it saves you from bumper. I've hit it numerous times, as you can tell. It's proper scuffed up.
Yeah. Nice. And I like your air ducts here at the front as well. They're very clean. A lot of them have the screw holes here, but you haven't got those. It's just a nice clean duct.
So I've very recently put on road tyres and road brakes.
Yeah.
Because I did have NS2Rs, fantastic on track, very noisy, and although good in the wet, have them moments.
Yeah.
Very good once you've got some heat into them. I really wanted PS4Ss. Yeah. And there is no better tyre for road in my eyes.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because we were talking about this with Tom, like when we were filming a previous episode. So many of the cars that roll in here are Michelin Pilot Sports, and I bang on about it. And there are 2 reasons I bang on about it. One, because I love the brand, and 2, they've just come as a sponsor. So it's difficult because I don't want to bang on about them too much to the point where people go, oh, he's just saying that because they're a sponsor.
Oh no,
the reality is that I only work with brands that I really believe in, and these are fucking great tyres.
Yeah. And
I think they're the best. I mean, like what's called, Pirelli, all the other, I shouldn't mention brand names, but the other brands which are out there, I don't think come close really to where Michelin are.
A balance of comfort, dry performance, wet performance.
And it's noise. The wet performance which is mental.
So these 4Ss are a odd homologation spec for, I believe it's a Cadillac in America. I really wanted a slightly wider front tyre, which would allow me to go 295 on the rear to keep the same balance.
Right.
However, you could not get anything over a 235 in Europe at the moment, in a 4S. You can in a 4, but I wanted a tyre that I could just jump on track and not worry about. And the reason for going road tyres and road brakes was I now have my kid in the car, and sketchy times with essentially cut slicks on the road is no.
And to be honest with you, the difference is the mushy bit behind the steering wheel. It's not that nth degree on the latest brand new Michelin Pilot Sport Cup or Pilot Michelin
not
Cup
on the road.
tyre.
Not
on the road. And the duality of these is just where it's at. Because especially when we live in a country like this, where suddenly it does piss it down. Even though it's an inverted commas summer, you just got the best of both worlds.
I used to have to wear noise cancelling headphones in the car.
Yeah.
Just from tyre noise.
Yeah, yeah.
I could put my clutch in and it doesn't change the noise.
So I had the same thing. So I
fine.
had exactly that on my 993. I had a set of Japanese tyres, track tyres, and they were so loud.
Yeah.
The road noise was absolutely obscene. And again, it changed absolutely everything. And I did the same thing on the 964 behind us. Did 4,000 miles with that car recently. Michelin were kind enough to send me a set of tyres for that car. Tom's filming it. I'm kind of embarrassed because it's so disgusting, but slightly not as well.
It's perfect, yeah.
but yeah, those tyres are brilliant. Right, let's stop talking about tyres. Okay, so right, the other thing which is quite cool is the wing mirrors here.
Yes.
So you wouldn't spot it unless you know it's there almost because it's so subtle.
Or not there on the
not
wing.
there. But yeah, you can see that you've integrated a little indicator in this corner of the mirror there.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Was that one of Tyrone's ideas?
That was one of Tyrone's ideas, yeah. And he threw it to me. I was like, yes, please do. Yeah. I mean, crack on. I believe the indicators on the standard wings are from a Mark II Golf. Again, back to the Golf.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say they're ugly. I wouldn't say they're the prettiest or elegant solution.
It also cleans up the line. Yeah. You haven't got that ugly, thing on the side.
And it's nice and discreet.
Yeah, let's have a look. Cool, that is bright. Do you know what? That's almost brighter than your standard front ones because these are LEDs and contemporary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes to show how far tech has come, hasn't it?
And he put them in, and I did all the wiring, and it's...
Oh, you did the wiring yourself? Nice.
Yeah, it's not too bad, actually.
Okay.
That was it.
So the elephant in the room we haven't talked about yet is the colour. So how did you... Because, one of the hardest things possible is being told... or knowing that you can paint any colour that you want. How do you choose a colour, and how did you end up with this one?
I didn't choose it. The wife did.
No,
Yeah.
really?
Turned up to drop the car off.
Yeah.
Hadn't decided yet.
Okay.
Because I knew it was going to have loads of metal work done first.
Yeah.
I used to have a sunroof, not anymore, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I turned up, and there was a 930 just peeking out of his doors, and he was rolling the door up, and he was pushing it out into the sun, and she just went, that. I was like, all right,
Okay.
done. I knew I wanted a pastel.
Nice.
I wanted something to almost soften the lines.
Mm.
And she was like, that's gorgeous. I was like, cool.
And what is it? Is it fashion grey? Is it
Crayon.
It's crayon. It is crayon.
Yeah, it's crayon. And it's really hard to tell what grey it is on this year of car.
Well, on this year, a car just completely throws you. You're like, well, you just don't see this colour on an older Porsche. It must have looked really interesting on the 930.
Oh, it looked really nice.
Really,
but
interesting.
It also made the car look so small. I don't know what the colours do to a car, but it just.
Yeah.
It's not a big car, is it? But it made it look tiny, but very elegant. So
I'll tell you what. Considering I know that you use this car. The paintwork's really good.
It's covered a few miles, a few track days.
I can't see any stone chips or anything.
It's got Expel on the front.
So
bonnet,
you're cheating, right? Okay.
here,
Yeah.
and the front bumper, and the Expel is pretty much holding that front left bumper on.
Yeah.
Because of the.
So some people, like what's called, some people they balk at the price of Expel film, which I totally get. But I always think it depends on how you use the car.
Yes.
If you're gonna drive it, few times a year down the motorway to a car show, don't fucking bother.
No.
But if you're going to use it and abuse it constantly, you'll end up spending more than Expel film if you want to try and keep the paintwork good by keeping on painting it every fucking season.
Easily.
Yeah.
We've been out together, haven't we? We drive them. It's the nicest possible way of putting it, don't we?
Yeah, we don't hang about.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got rid of the sun. You've got rid of the sunroof.
Yeah.
So is this a Fen Lane panel that's gone in there?
No, it's the original panel.
Is it?
Yeah. So Tyrone used one of his.
Oh wait, so
fabricator used the original panel.
So he used the original sunroof.
Yeah. So you can't tell anything.
Wow.
It's no filler whatsoever. They did a spectacular job. And you remove the inner roof as well, because there's two roofs, isn't there? There's a top roof in the middle. Sounds stupid, but I believe they quote 27 kilos.
Do they?
I honestly can't believe it. But
maybe it's by the time you've taken out all the motors and all that kind of stuff, I guess.
One of the best things though is it's given me like a 2 to 3 inches extra headroom, which
Tell
is
you what,
really
that is a good
important
job.
when you're wearing a helmet on track.
Yeah, no, it is.
I used to have to drive like this, and now you completely.
Yeah. Yeah, no. 27 kilo. And obviously at the highest point in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and again, people get hung about, about buying non-sunroof cars and all this kind of thing, but it all depends on what you're going to do with the car.
exactly. This is a car to beat on, and
It's a purposeful car, is how I'd put it. Just from the stance alone, it's purposeful. Yeah. And do you know what? You were talking, sorry, we're going back a step, but we were talking about the tyres, and actually, it's got quite a nice stretch to it.
yes, I mean, I wanted.
They always have a nice curve.
Yeah, I wanted
These tyres.
slightly more, and I think it's the rim protector makes it look more stretched.
Yeah.
But they are ETRTO completely legal. It's a 9.5J with a 235/40, which is the maximum size for that tyre.
And this is not a scene stretch. This is a purposeful
No,
stretch.
it's fine. Yeah, I mean, ideally a 245 on there would be great, but they just don't do one, and that's the problem. They just don't do one.
Yeah, that is a pain.
And it means I could go 275 at the rear, which gives me slightly less grip.
Yeah.
Which is never a bad thing.
No.
No, it's sometimes quite fun. So, yeah.
So we've got an RSR wing on the back?
No,
GT2
so
wing?
GT wing. Yeah, I would like an RS wing,
Yeah.
but they're so hard to come across.
To be honest, I think this looks really cool.
Yeah. I do have a ducktail for it as well recently. It's not painted yet.
Okay.
I've got a little plan for that. You'll see it in a couple of months' time.
Are you going to bring it to Megaphonics?
Yeah.
I'm so pleased you're coming to Megaphonics because I think the last time you came was, a few years ago now?
Yes, it was.
So what would be really cool is that the event's evolved quite a bit since you've last been here. It's grown in size. People have been kind enough to keep supporting us, so it has grown in size. And obviously because it's the 5th anniversary, there'll be like all new installations, all new pop-ups, all sorts of bits and pieces.
I can see the evolution.
No, I'm glad you're making it. That's cool. And also, like, this is a car which perfectly represents a lot of what shows up at Megaphonics. Megaphonics, I would say, 90% of the cars are modified or something?
Oh yes, easily.
Yeah,
I'd
easily.
say so. And they're used as well. That's the nice thing.
Well, this is the thing. What's interesting about it, sorry, we're going off on another tangent again, but what's interesting about it is that when I look at the data, I can see that actually our attendance drops by the same amount, regardless of whether, because you'll always get people who buy tickets, then you'll get some people that don't show up on the day because they've got something that's gone on or whatever it is.
Exactly.
But our attendance is always the same, regardless of whether it's sunshine or rain.
Yes. I remember one
and-
year it was
Yeah,
not a washout, but
it was close.
I was
Yeah.
I was very much dreading having to leave because I had the Nankangs on. I was like, I don't think I'm going to get out.
Yeah.
But
But what was nice about that was just it's nice to see that whatever the weather, our kind of fraternity just get out there. And it was because you worry as an event organizer. The rain comes in, or there's a forecast of it, and you're like, what's going to happen? Blah blah. Anyway, so we've got a GT2 wing, and then you've got some carbon fiber raisers there.
I just made these little kind of wing end plate things just to raise it. And the main thing is, it's because of the roll cage.
You can't see out the rear.
I can't see out the rear window. But now I've raised it that, couple of inches. Yeah. Perfect. I can see perfectly between the wing and the top of the roll cage, which is, it's pretty handy to be able to see out. Yeah.
And you've got a fair amount of adjustability there as well.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to have the same amount of adjustability as the standard wing. So, and that mesh is something that I just threw in just to. It doesn't look very neat on the other side, but I mean it's purposeful. It works.
Yeah, that's all that matters. So we're looking at a standard 993 Pre-Varia Ram engine.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's got some mild FVD cams. I kept the hydraulics because actually for daily use, or even, people talk about them leaking down on track, don't they? At high oil temps. They've been perfect. They've been never really an issue. I put brand new ones in, but yeah, it's good, and it's been had a mild map on it, so I think it was 2 horsepower under 300, which was disappointing. But it allows me to plan the next few steps.
Well, I'm going to ask you what those are.
No, we'll leave that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll leave that.
Okay, well, you have to tell me off camera.
Yes.
You're just teasing everyone now because we're going to have to do a follow-up episode.
And I asked Tyrone to cut the rear bumper out.
Yes, that was one of my next questions. Because if we stand back here, we can see up its skirt.
Yes, we can. And I really like it.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It looks really purposeful. It's got a real, I don't know, it's got a real race car feel to it. I mean, like, what would you say in terms of Porsches that kind of showed off their exhaust systems? You're into like, you're into 934s, 935s, where the turbos hang out. So it kind of evokes that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But the main reason is I want to run a GT3 rear box.
Right, okay.
So it'll basically have me hanging out the back.
Yeah.
I've test fitted it a few times, and I have to do a fair bit of modifications to like the manifolds and headers. So
Okay.
it's a project in the making.
Nice.
I've got the box. I've made a few changes, but it's just finding that time to dedicate to finish it off.
Yeah.
But they sound. I mean, I don't know if you've heard an air-cooled
Yeah, I
car.
have.
They sound
On
incredible.
Full GT3, they sound unreal. Yeah,
Absolutely
no,
incredible. So
absolutely amazing.
that's the plan.
Yeah. That's really cool. No, it's nice that you can see the inner workings of the exhaust there. It's quite cool. And what's good about it also is you haven't been too tempted to keep polishing it. 'Cause it looks properly used, you know?
It gets all the salt.
Because some people would look at that and just go, I need to polish it with an inch of its life before I go anywhere. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's cool.
it's a workhorse. It does the job.
Okay. Right, I think there are two things left to talk about. There's the interior and there's also suspension. So tell us a bit about your background. What's the day job?
So I'm a vehicle dynamicist. I kind of do suspension. That's my job.
Yeah.
Or whole chassis tuning, should I say,
Yeah.
is probably the better way of doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I work for big OEMs, and now I work for a small independent kind of active suspension company, and I also run my own business doing suspension setups
And your business
supplying
is
them.
nothing standard, isn't it?
Yes, nothing standard.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing standard.
And so you specialise in geometry or?
Geometry, vehicle setups, supply, fit,
Yeah.
the lot.
Cool. And do you specialise in Porsche at all?
Yeah, so we have a lot of Porsches coming through the door, but we
Okay.
can do anything.
Yeah.
Porsches, Volkswagens seem to be the main thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, more track cars and fast road cars than kind of standard cars.
I mean, this is your advertising
Yeah.
development
Yeah, it
baby,
is.
isn't it?
I mean, this car came standard everything. Everything
yeah.
was original, and now it's running. Everything is RS bushes or monoballs.
Yeah.
It's got PS10s, Bilsteins, but with
Which
my
are
valving.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so
PSS
good.
10s. They are so good. I think they're one of the best, inverted commas, off-the-shelf
Yes,
systems
fantastic.
which are out there. And to me, it's not, the spring rates are great, but it's the valving is so good.
So
on them.
good, yeah.
So
Really
progressive.
comfy.
Yeah, I think they're the market leader in terms of where they're at. They're really, really good.
If you want a dual
there
use car,
are some other
yes.
great companies too, but what's it called? Bilstein are definitely one of the
I
market
mean,
leaders in that category of off-the-shelf.
Yeah, I mean, you
kind
get
of
what
more
you pay for, don't you?
consumer. Yeah, in that price bracket as well, I think.
And then
you've got like Olin's and like, what's the other company that's really good? I can't remember the name of that. XTC.
XTC.
I didn't know anything about them, and then I've ended up with a couple of cars with their systems. I've been blown away by them as well.
And you got obviously JRZ and Nitron guys, and
Yeah.
lots of.
I mean,
There's so many out there.
Yeah, there are so many great ones. But I have to say, yeah, Bilstein's is an off-the-shelf within that price category. PSS 10s are just absolutely brilliant. And so you spec the valving on these.
Yes, so I drove around with them for a while, and then thankfully, because I know the guys in the UK, because of all the OEM work, I kind of sent them back and said, "Can you just do a couple of little modifications, please? A little bit tighter on the main valve and a little bit on the stack." But yeah, it just gives it that. It just allows that more adjustability, really, for me, like to dual-purpose car, road and track. So.
Nice. And are you running any different anti-roll bars?
Yeah, so RS front roll bar
Yep.
and a rough 993 bar.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
do you know the diameters off the top of your head?
Yeah, so the rough one is the same as an RS, which I believe is 20 mil, but it's a slightly thicker inner diameter wall, and the front is a 23 mil RS, which is 5-point
I
adjustability.
think the RS ones are 21s. I might be wrong. But
Might be 21. I can't remember.
Anyway, okay.
And then wide track front.
Yeah. And so, sorry, just with the roll bars, I'm guessing you're running the front a little bit softer than the rear.
Yes,
Yeah.
rear is set to max stiffness.
Yeah.
Front is, it's on the road. It's on medium stiffness out of 5.
Interesting.
On track, once you get some heat into it, actually you can go up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's that balance that you play
So
with.
I played with it a little bit too far and made the front end a little bit too loose on that one. And all of a sudden I had a lot of oversteer.
Yes, yeah.
So I'd gone a little bit too far, but yeah, no. Okay, cool.
They are delicate, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. And you know what you can do? You can just not, okay, I don't know if this is going to be controversial for you, so you're the expert, so by all means, slap my wrist on this one. But sometimes what I'll do on track is if I feel it's like ever so slight out, I won't change them so they're both the same. So for example, I'll just tighten on one side or loosen on one side.
Yeah, so it's, you have the same difference. It's the displacement across both. So you've got more flex on one side, but it's across the whole bar. So yeah, it's...
Yeah. Okay, cool. And anything with the drop links?
So yeah, front adjustable drop links, rear are adjustable drop links as well, yeah.
As well?
Yeah.
What company did you go for those?
Elephant.
Yeah, so I did the same.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they're great. Can't complain at all.
Yeah, they're brilliant, aren't they?
We use a lot of their products, well I do anyway, and they're fantastic.
And no greasing?
Yeah. So
good.
really good. And the front arms are monoball, and actually you would never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to the RS ones, you wouldn't, it really wouldn't make it. The steering's slightly better, but apart from that.
Yeah. Well, I expect that this car handles like nothing else. Knowing you and your attention to detail.
It's not too bad. Yeah, it's all right.
I'm sure you're being modest. Right, let's have a look inside. I'm trying to think, is there anything else on the kind of, no, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, chassis-wise?
Chassis-wise, yeah, it's just all RS running gear.
Yeah.
Obviously, just adjustable drop link, tie rods as well.
Yeah.
But that did help a bit. But again, it's a 993 and it's lowered. It's going to have bump steer.
Yeah.
And you want that.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Well, it's part of a safeguard, isn't it, in some ways? Yeah. Okay, so inside. So tell me about how the car came to you before it turned into this.
Completely standard. So it had.
But it was black already.
It was black already.
Yeah.
And then I've obviously put in the kind of RS look-ish door cards.
Yeah.
With, I think they're off a original Mini, I believe.
Yeah, they look the part, don't they?
I always wanted pole
Speed
positions. Always wanted pole positions.
Yeah.
They're the wider ones.
Are they?
Yeah.
Can I have a seat?
Yeah, crack on.
Curious now.
I've only just put in seatbelts actually.
Do you know what, that feels good? I've got SPGs in one of my cars.
Great seat though.
Awesome seat, but Jesus, I can't have anything in my pockets.
No.
I can't have anything in my pockets because otherwise it just becomes too tight. But yeah, these feel really good. Good shoulder support, good bolstering on the side. They're kind of the go-to seat, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It's what Porsche used, and also they're bloody good.
I had an old training car which was original NSX, and that had the Recaro pole positions in from factory, like in 90 whatever it was, and I fell in love with them then. I was like, right, I need these in a car. I just need these in a car, and they're fantastic. And I've got obviously harnesses in there and the seatbelts, and I only just put the seatbelts back in.
Oh yeah.
I used to drive around with harnesses all the time, and
it's pain.
It's pain.
Yeah, and it's quite tricky sometimes to figure out how to all the mounting points for the harnesses, and also to try and get the belt and all that, to try and fit it all in between the seats and the consoles and the sides.
And obviously it's obviously a bit bare in the back, but it's it's just some.
And
what
cage have you got there?
So it's I believe they're called Custom Concepts, which is Design 911. So
yes,
it's the one that Design 911 supply.
Okay.
And it's obviously crayon, but it's satin.
Right.
As per request of, again, the boss.
Huh.
She wanted it and I think also.
So the outside is gloss, but the cage is satin.
Satin, yeah.
And so why is that? So it gives you a little bit less glare?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it takes the edge off.
Yeah, someone else recommended it to me as well and said it just has a little bit of an offset, and you can't really tell until it's pointed out. And then
It's a cool looking cage as well. Like, so it uses the factory mounting points, the seat belt points and everything. So there's no modifications there, just built in.
First time I fitted it was black. It took 15 minutes. Honestly, my mate went out to go get some coffees or some, I think it was a Subway, came back and it was in. And he was like, "You're not going to fit it?" I was like, "It's done." It's just it's so quick and it's perfect,
Well, that's great because it means if you want to pull it out, and then it's done.
Also means the chassis is pretty straight, which is nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Bit of a relief.
That's true. Okay, cool. Then what do we got? We got an RWB steering wheel.
Yes, again, sounds stupid, present from the wife.
Really?
Yeah, they were a limited
Where the
edition
hell
run.
did she find this?
So,
Your wife is cool.
yeah, Mark Arsenal.
She buys you an RWB wheel and geeks out to find you one, and then on top of that, picks a really gnarly colour for the car.
I might have, hinted that there was a limited edition run of RWB wheels.
Okay. Well, we'll still pretend that she's that
Yeah.
cool.
And it's a number 22 of, it says, I think it's on the back somewhere, it's number 22, which is my lucky number, so it's quite,
Is it?
yeah, it's quite handy.
That's cool. It's not what you'd call subtle, I'll tell you that much.
No,
with
it's not.
The rough world over the
Yeah.
top. I mean, I like it because it's yours.
But no, what I like is I can pull it out, I can stick in a Mod 7 or...
Yeah, it's pretty similar to a Mod 7.
Yeah.
It's got that offset.
So it's made by Renown, I think it's Renown.
Oh, yeah. They make really good wheels. I really like
so
that
Renown
stuff.
Wheels. That's who makes them.
Interesting.
And then obviously the elephant in the room, the CAE.
Yes, we were going to get to that.
Completely. I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it?
It's like a rifle bolt, isn't it? It's just because the thing is like there's people get all hung up about a short shift.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about it being
just
a
not
short
missing a
throw.
gear.
It's about it being precise. And this is where this thing stands, head and shoulders above what else is out there. It's just the precision. It's so it's
I would say
proper.
when I first got it, driving slowly was maybe a bit odd, first and second gear. It just felt a bit, I don't know, but once you realise how you got to be, it's there for use and using properly. And
I love how you can see the inner gubbins of it as well.
I mean, it does add a bit of road noise, I think, but I mean, it's not. It just exposes all that, doesn't it? And you got a bit more of a transfer path from the gearbox to the cabin. But apart from that, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and they do them in an anodized black as well.
Yes, they do.
And they do them for quite a few different
I
brands.
really wanted the black, but then I realised I would scuff it up completely straight away.
Yeah.
I thought, just leave it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, it looks cool. It makes a feature out of it, I guess, having it, silver there.
Actually, I didn't have it for ages, and then drove Matt's 993 on track with one in. I was like,
Gotta have it.
damn it, you've just cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and you've got some scribbling here.
Yes, last time Nakai was in the UK,
Yes.
he's building Sam's car. He decided he wanted to come and sign it, which is nice because I don't think there's many cars out there with his kind of, I don't know, approval. I don't know what you want to call it, but that is actually a blank piece from Renline. So it's a no airbag.
Oh yeah, it's tin.
Yeah,
Gosh, the finish is pretty much
fantastic,
close to,
isn't it? Yeah,
close to fact. You wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know.
Because normally there is the airbag, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
It's
You've
just an
just got
airbag
a,
blank plate, and
you've
then I've
got
got a little
Yeah, cubby hole.
cubby hole instead of the radio because you've got that in the back.
Yeah.
You don't really need a radio.
Really cool. And I see on the rear parcel shelf, you've got some memorabilia
Yeah, that's
from your 12-hour race.
From
is
the
that right?
12-hour race, that's from all my track passes. So, I mean, I did it a couple of times, but that one's from the Stag. It's a nice little nod to, yeah, I mean, it's nice memory. Every time I get in this car, I think about that, and it's great. I mean, it wasn't obviously the car, but it's pretty much as close as you can get.
Yeah. Tell you what, if I ever find out that you go out there for another 12-hour endurance race and you haven't invited me,
I know
You're
we
in
didn't know each other
serious
then,
trouble.
but I mean, it could be organised. It's not a problem.
no, I would absolutely. I mean, what an experience, to do it in such a magical place as Japan.
Motegi is such a great track. It's so quick.
Yeah.
So quick.
It looks good.
It's massive in comparison to like the UK stuff.
What kind of other cars were you racing against?
Anything and everything.
Really?
So yeah, there was
So how do they do it? Is it done by horsepower to weight,
no.
generation?
So you literally line up on track
Yeah.
and then go. There's 107 cars.
So anything.
Anything. There
Jesus.
was like there was an F40 racing. There
Right.
was. I mean, there was so much stuff.
Gosh.
Everything.
So no. There's no rules. There's no you can literally bring a white van.
Yeah, bring a white van. It was fantastic.
That's cool.
And then the dumping ground in the front.
Those days.
No, so.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry, sir.
No worries.
There you go. Just drop it down.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we've got a strut brace. I'd expect nothing less from you,
Yep.
being a chassis dynamicist.
And then
did I say that right?
Yeah. And then just lots of spares. Spare belts, spare DME relays.
Yes, vital thing. And
I think I've got two in the car.
Yeah,
fact,
here's a top tip for our viewers out there. If you have a 993 or a 964, buy one of these, even though your one is not broken.
Yeah.
Because when it breaks, then you can swap it out. And the first thing you do, you take it out of the box, take it out of its packaging when it's arrived, swap it with the one inside your car.
Yeah, that's what I've done.
And put the spare one in here, so you know both work.
I've got spare bulbs.
But there is a company out there that does a solid state one.
Yeah, so I believe some of the 993s have issues with them.
Do they?
Yes, I think they made some revisions recently, and they don't.
Okay, interesting.
But they also have the fuel pump prime on there as well, don't they? And the LEDs on top of the relay to make sure if you know it's working or not.
Don't know. I don't know more than that. I just know that's solid state. Okay, cool.
And then just all the essentials, because I always think if you have them, you'll never need them. So I have stuff for little tool bag, pump, hoses, oil, nice. a number plate, which yeah,
awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for bringing it in. It's a very cool car, and I'm glad that we finally found an opportunity to get it in, because I've been meaning to get in touch
thank you very much
with you about it for a little while. And I hope it'll be interesting to our viewers out there. So yeah, if you've got an interesting car that and you'd like to bring it in, then do get in touch. The best way is to send a message to Tom. That's on Boxengasse Co on Instagram. And we're always looking for interesting cars with interesting stories and interesting people. That's kind of the crux of the series, I guess. So yeah, dude, thanks.
Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, sounds
definitely.
Like fun.